Now, to understand recruitment and Interact, you need to understand that Interact is a global solution. So a lot of things are configurable, and specifically recruitment is an area that depends on the region in which you're doing recruitment and the labor laws that apply there. So the applicant registration form can be different. You can have one for North America, you can have one for other countries. Then we also have some specialized ones that are focused on educational institutions or medical residents and so on. So there's a lot of things that we can do there. I'll show you a couple of different views of applicant registration forms. This is an example of a North American applicant registration form. It has a social security number and it asks some basic information. You can obtain the applicant data also through a LinkedIn integration. And then you can walk through the different areas of the form which has education and experience and so on. Another example is a recruitment form like this, which is very specifically designed for educational institutions and contains all the particular types of questions to which they need responses from their applicants. So as you can tell, all of this is very much specific to the country in which you're operating, where these things may be relevant, allowed or not allowed. Note that in our recruitment setup itself, there are many other parameters that can be configured, including the specific fields that should be mandatory and visible in the application form for applicants, and the welcome page that applicants see when they apply. So you can choose to make specific fields mandatory or non-mandatory. So here's another example of a recruitment form which has specific data that you're obtaining from the applicant. You can add as many skills, certifications, experience, and preferences as you want. All of this information can be added by the applicant through self-service. Again, we cannot stress enough that the fields which I just showed you can be turned on or turned off, and based on your region and your country in which you are recruiting. You of course will comply with your local labor laws, and you will only capture that data that is allowed. The point is that our products are global in design and therefore can be used in different countries where labor laws do differ. So let's proceed now with the recruiting process. The way that works is you initiate, first of all, a requisition. Now this is done from the organization unit level. That's where we log in, and we will issue a requisition right here. And we will choose, in this case I do not have my position budgeting turned on, so I can request and fill requisitions for anything that is approved. Let's say I'd like to have this filled by the end of the month. This external job description here can be used in order to have a job description published online, which is different from the one that you track internally if you do not want to post the internal job description in your actual job ads. Now you have many other options here that you can choose from. I'm going to keep this simple, and I want to point out that my position of accountant is defined in my job classification, and there we have defined the education, skill, and experience requirements for the job of accountant in our company, and this is automatically inherited. You can now edit that if you wanted to at the time of your requisition, and you can add some questions. If you have defined a question bank, then you could add some questions right here that should be part of the original application form. Now once this requisition has been issued, it requires an approval from HR, depending on your workflow that you have defined in your system. So we'll go in here and sign in as an HR officer who has been assigned the responsibility to approve, among others, requisitions. And you will find right here that there is a requisition, number 80, for the position of accountant, and it has the details in there. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. I could have reviewed the education requirements, skills requirements, and so on. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly, because what you will find now is that on our jobs portal, on your company website, your organization's website, you will find that there is a new job ad that's been placed there. Now, that means that our applicants can now apply for these positions. Here's the description of the job again, and applicants, as you know, can apply online. So your applicants will come to your website and fill in an application form. Here's one of those forms, and I'm going to show you an existing applicant who has already done that part of the job. Now, Ellen is a new applicant who has just created a profile. She already has a picture that she uploaded herself, which is something that you can request or that you can turn off altogether depending on your local labor laws. Now, you will see that in the job matching grid here, it's showing me that there is a job available that you can apply for, which requires a finance degree, whereas there are a number of vacant jobs which in fact are not listed as a job matching her skills. So the system has automatically matched this. So I'm going to go ahead and apply for this particular position. And I don't need to do much because the system already has all of my information. I could edit a cover letter and I could fill in some job questions if there were any set up right now. But I'm going to just go ahead and proceed and add my application. And once I've done that, it means that the HR department has now received my application. Earlier, all that was done was her registering. Now there is in fact an application. And based on the workflow that we have defined here right now, this application will need to be approved first before it can be processed any further. You might say, well, we want to skip that step. That's okay. You can do so. In my case, I have it activated, so I need to review this briefly and see if everything looks correct, and then I'm going to go ahead and approve it. So now the application has been approved. The next step in the recruiting process, the way the workflow is configured right now, keep in mind that this can be modified based on your particular details, your particular needs. But the next step is that I can go and assign this applicant for a assessment. That means we again have our own rules configured, which are user defined. You can set them up the way you want to. I'm going to assign the task of assessing her to Patty, and you will notice what happens now. We log in as Patty. Patty is one of our employees, and she has been requested to do a basic assessment here. Now, the assessment process, the content, the type, and the nature of this assessment is entirely up to your company policy. We are just going to show you an example. You will find right here that, in fact, there is a resume that I can see for Ellen. There's also the details that have been submitted online. And I'm going to go ahead and do my assessment. Now I have a lot of criteria in here that are in fact very generic and just there to show you that I can do a yes or no. I can have a drop down menu here. I can have a scoring mechanism. I can provide my comment on each and every one of these quality indicators, or I can just give an overall assessment. Now in my case, I'm going to say great candidate. So I'm going to add this assessment. And as a result, the applicant can be progressed in the workflow now. So we go back to our HR users. And you will find that under our applicants, Ellen has been as showing as approved now. And if we want to schedule an interview, we can do that online. This can be done by the HR department, could also be done by the administrative services department if they want to schedule this themselves. In my case, I'm going to add an interviewer, which will be done on the same day, let's say at 3 in the afternoon. Okay, and we will choose Barbara. as our interviewer. Now what happens is that the status, of course, is showing as not completed yet, and both the interviewer as well as the applicant will be notified that this interview has been scheduled. We expect, depending on the setup that you choose when we configure the system for you, that the applicant will actually need to accept the interview online so that there is no miscommunication. So in my case, I'm going in as Alan and I'm going to accept the interview. I could also reject it and put the reason why I cannot attend this interview on that date. But in my case, I have accepted the interview, and it shows me that the interview will be with Barbara at the head office and so on. So now we go and look at Barbara's self-service. Keep in mind that employees will be notified through emails and messages, of course. They do not need to log in to find out the status of something like this. Here it shows me that there is something pending under applicants and that there's an interview specifically that's pending. And if I go to Alan Jones, that's the interview scheduled for the 15th, I will see the applicant data, including her resume and any other information I need to see about her, and I'm going to score the applicant on a set of questions. Now these questions are questions that are defined under our job classification for the job of accountant. These could be very particular questions testing their knowledge, could be more general questions. They're entirely up to you. It depends on what you need from the applicants and how you want to structure and streamline your interview processes. Understand that this is coming directly from my job classification. Now I have some comments here that I can put in here. Great candidate. She seems very eager, but already has an offer, another offer, so we have to move quick. And I'm going to put in a recommendation for salary here. You might say this is not required. You may choose the format in which this salary will be recommended. Obviously, this could be monthly or it could be a annual salary. That depends on how we configure the system. Now, once this has been done, we will be able to, of course, schedule multiple interviews if we wanted to. I'm going to keep this simple now, and I'm going to go ahead and offer the position to the applicant and just show you the final flow in the system. Because right now, we go and look at our applicants. We can see now that the interview results are in, that the interview was positive, it's been completed, and now I'm going to add the job details to the job offer that we're creating for this applicant. Now follow how little work is to be done here by an HR person. We're going to just choose the employee group or the pay group that this person will be hired under. There are contract types for employment contracts. We will cover that in later presentations. I'm going to choose those. The person will be hired as of the 1st of May, let's say. And therefore the contract will start also on the 1st of May. Will expire 2 years later, and we will choose grade 2, step 4 for this applicant. And we can have the system fill in the salary for me automatically here, or I can be authorized to fill it in myself. So you notice now that the system has calculated the hourly rate and so on. We only entered the basic salary. Everything else is going to be done for us based on your compensation policies that are defined in your system, earnings, allowances, and so on. I'm going to add the job offer. My system has now produced a file, a Word document typically, that will contain all the information that says you're being hired as an accountant, you'll be working in administrative services, and so on. All that has been done for me. It's been merged into a document. I can post this offer now. I could have gone and edited the detailed salary information in terms of earnings, allowances, commissions, bonuses, and so on that she's entitled to. I can see the leave and holidays that she's entitled to and the work schedule that she should be working under. And now that I've posted this offer, it could have gone for an approval process, of course. I'm keeping things simple right now. What happens is that the applicant will receive that information online. She will, of course, get an email that informs her of the offer that's been sent to her. And when she logs in, she will find that there is an offer right here. And this offer is the same offer that I just created, of course, for her. It will allow me to view the salary details. These are the earnings, allowances, bonuses, everything that I'm entitled to based on company policy. There was no change in the in any of it as I got hired, and therefore I'm just going to go ahead and accept this. This is as simple as it is. Now the next step is that the HR department can create an employment agreement if that is what you do. After that, if I accept that employment agreement, all my applicant information will automatically be converted to an employee record so that we have this on the record. And there's no need for re-entry, rekeying any of this data in the system. I'll just show you right here. Under new employee contract, we have the ability to convert an employment offer to an employment contract, specifically the one for Ellen Jones. Now what we do is we go and add the same job again, because in our system, an employee can actually be hired in multiple jobs. They could be part-time employees doing multiple jobs. In my case, there's no data entry to be done. I just had to confirm this and also confirm the probationary period start date, which obviously is on the same day as the start of the contract. And I'm going to add this particular job. I could have chosen her immediate supervisor at this point already. And now I'm going to add the employment contract. This will be another form. This is a template that you choose and based on which employment agreements will be created. Now if you do not work with employment agreements, there's no need to do this. After acceptance of the offer letter, we can create an employee record automatically without having to go through any other process. But I will just show you the final steps here, which is that Ellen now receives a contract offer or an employment agreement. It's still showing pending. It's a 24-month agreement, which means there will be a reminder in time to make sure this gets renewed properly and so on. So you could have had another contract template agreement to be used, and once this is all accepted, you will see that this new employee, Ellen Jones, has been added to the system with a start date of May 1st. Let's go and take a look. So here's our new employee. We do not have all of her details yet. We do have enough information that was imported directly from her applicant record and turned into an employee record. And that's the beauty of Interact and the integration that we have between all the various systems. There's no need for any data entry. You've seen a lot of steps in the workflow process now, but you did not see a lot of data entry because all of that is done only one time, and it is minimized as much as possible.